Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with another tea. There are not enough lifetimes to taste all the different teas when you consider the different kinds, the locations, the cultivars or the varieties of teas that can be used, seasonal differences that can affect the teas. It just never ends. I'm scooping out enough here, and just a little bit more. Scooping out enough to cover the bottom, say, 1.5 to 2 inches of my 3-ounce Gaiwan here. My water's been brought to a premature boil, I would say. So it started to kind of rumble. It wasn't a full rolling 212-degree boil. I want to add enough water here. I want a little bit to rest just above the rim of the lid. I'm moving around to make sure that the leaves get swept underneath the surface of the water. Got a little bit of water above the rim of my lid. That looks good. Set my kettle off to the side. Introduce this tea now. This is from Yezi Tea Company. This is their Ming. It is a black tea. Information: 5 grams, a 5-gram sample, currently available for $2.95. Location, origin: Nanhu Mountain in Fujian province of China. This looks to be an autumn 2013 harvest, and you can even find out about the farmer who grew this tea. His name is Huang Jian, and there's an information page there at Yezi Tea about Huang Jian and the teas that he produces. So, having said that, I can now kind of get in and talk a little bit more about the characteristics of this tea as far as the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor go. Give it a shake here. I'm going to breathe into this. The warm air, the warm moist air kind of can help draw out a little bit more aroma. First thing was kind of a toasty rice syrup type. It's kind of sweet, kind of roasted element, so it's more like a roasty rice syrup type aroma. So it's got a sweetness there to it. It's got a bit of again the toasted grain element to it. Those are probably the two dominant. Bit of the raisin bran notes coming out as well. Scooping out this leaf, kind of looking at the dry leaf here. You have leaves that are twisted along the middle length of the leaf, so that you've got longer kind of curl, twisty elements here. Here's a leaf. You can actually see the stem end. Looks like it goes all the way or very close to the tip, and this is probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches in length or so. Most of this is a dark bister, a brown gray, nearly blackish type color. Deeper oxidation in that sense. I don't know, approximately 10%, 7 to 10%, I would guess, is a golden fuzzy bud or tip. So you do get some of the golden bud type colors there as well. And those vary in length. That I picked up one just then that was about 1 inch or so in length, maybe a little bit more. So you've got some larger size buds or tips or needles in there. They're that golden color. So, having said that, I do want to close this up, kind of keep the air off of this a little bit. That looks good. Get into the pouring. Let me kind of get my pitcher ready. Angle my Gaiwan lid over to the side. I had a little bit of a vacuum there, so it was kind of the lid wasn't shifting quite as smoothly because it had a nice seal there that had been created. So you notice in middle finger and thumb are holding the bowl of the Gaiwan. Index finger keeps the lid in place, and the lid's kind of offset a little bit there so that you've got some area to pour. It also means when you tip it up like this, you've got an area for the air to get in. Allows you to pour more smoothly without a bunch of dribbles. I'm going to shake out any last few remaining drops. That looks good. Let me set that aside. I'm going to give this a shake. Let those leaves kind of settle back down to the bottom of the Gaiwan there. I'm going to give it a smell here. aromas are getting more into a bit of raisin bran. So you've got the toasty bran flakes. You've got the raisiny type sweetness. You've also got a bit more in this one. On top of that, you've got a bit more of a sorghum type sweet, syrupy type note coming off. So it's a bit richer in that. There is some of a malty type character coming off as well. Something around malty plus a little bit of like a red grape skin kind of smell. But it's sweet. It's again some grain, some of your grape, raisin, some of your malty sweetness there as well. Leaves, I'm going to pull out a few here, have largely unfurled, not completely. They've still got some pretty tight wrinkles on here. I'm pulling out a few. For example, here was very likely one of those golden fuzzy tips or buds, needles rather, because this one's a fairly younger one, smaller leaf, and it's got more of a reddish tinge to it as opposed to the others that have gotten more of a darker green-gray type color to them. I'm looking for leaves that are, to see how intact leaves are. Here's one that's a bit more on the olive drab green type element, or spectrum, end of the spectrum. That one's not going to unfurl easily. Let me look for something that, okay, another, looks like a leaf and bud set there. So, looking at what I've got so far, I've got leaves that are, some leaves that are mostly intact, but most of these they're not completely intact, so that they've got, say, 2/3 of the leaf is there. Maybe the tip has broken off. You've got some variations in color as well. You've got everything from that olive drab or greenish type color. You've got a bit of that rust brown red type color, and you got a bit more of a deeper, darker green gray type color that's coming off here. So a little bit of a range there. These leaves, after one steeping, have not fully unfurled, so they're not quite that pliable and easily unfurl, which is usually a good sign that subsequent steepings will have lots of flavor and component to them. It all hasn't been infused out in the first steep. Okay, so holding this up to the light and looking at this liquor, you've got a very beyond coppery. This is moving into the territory of, say, that molasses, that dark amber type maple syrup color. So it's a nice rich color there. Give that a pour. Similar aromas in the pitcher here as compared to the Gaiwan. You still got that raisin bran, that toasty aspect, the raisiny sweetness, the molasses type component coming out a little bit there as well. The malty aspect there too. Let me give this a sip. Same components still coming out. You got a little bit of the molasses. You got a little bit of you've got some of the raisin bran, toasty. You got some of the grape, even on into that red little grape skin type aspect. What else? Texture-wise, it's got a bit of a tinge of astringency. It's not one of those brisk puckery, say Sri Lankan or Kenyan type punch to it, but it does have a bit of a malty kind of characteristic there. a syrupy aspect to it. A little bit off, but does have a bit of a syrupy aspect to it. So, looking at this tea, well, I should before I get too far, should also mention about the aftertaste. The aftertaste sticks with that kind of residual brown sugar, syrupy type effect, and especially towards the back of the tongue. It reminds me of the syrup, the juices of baked beans kind of aspect. It's got, and again, that with a little bit of a kind of lightly malty, somewhat brisk, very gently astringent type bite to it. Makes you kind of smack your mouth around. Looking at this tea, combined with all those elements, off-camera tastings, 2, 3, multiple steepings. I'll just kind of say that multiple, 3 or more, continue to have a lot of these characteristics in them. So with the duration, the complexity, I would probably give this one an 89. Some nice components. Aftertaste, not as complex as some, perhaps. So come back to Walker Tea Review, find out about teas like this and others you may want to consider. You can subscribe to the newsletter and get tea reviews like this delivered directly in your inbox. You can subscribe to become a member, and the membership section gets into more of the articles and the written content. You find out more about things like tea competitions, origins, producers, people involved in tea, and a little bit more of the expert analysis there. So come back to Walker Tea Review to enjoy all those things.